Good afternoon, everyone. So it begins. The mass food shortages, famine, starvation, global food shortage, global food crisis, cost of living crisis. Guys, it has already started in Africa. So from an article from Sky News, the Africans are culling. Well, I'll just share I'll read the article, guys, and then I'm going to tell you how this is going to affect us in the West. Because as we know, we live in a multi-connected world where something happens in one part of the world affects everywhere else. Zimbabwe to cull 200 wild elephants to feed hungry communities facing severe. In fact, the word hungry is not in there. Wow, that was weird. I saw hungry. To feed communities facing severe hunger during the drought. Drought is causing food shortages across southern Africa, with Nambia, so Nambia and South Africa, Nambia and Zimbabwe, due to start culling, wild animals to feed the hungry people. Zimbabwe will cull 200 wild elephants to feed communities that are facing severe hunger during the worst drought in 4 decades, wildlife authorities have said. The drought wiped out crops in southern Africa, impacting 68 million people. So, guys, I'm going to leave the article there, and I'm going to talk about how this now is going to affect us in the United Kingdom, in Europe, and the world in general, guys. This is a supply and demand issue. So I'll put this article in the description if you guys want to read it yourselves. So from what we're seeing around the world now, guys, we are having masses and masses of crop failures. We spoke about it here on this channel. We spoke about farmers having less than 50% yield this year. We actually spoke to some farmers and they said, look, my yield is less than 50%. The farms around me, they're not even going out and collecting their crops because the yield is so low. It's not worth them taking their machinery out because it will cost them more to take their machinery out and to harvest what's there. Then it will, then they'll be getting money back from that. Guys, we are heading to a catastrophic food crisis. And guess what? David Lammy's not talking about it. He's talking about, all sorts of wild stuff, anything but the real things that are affecting us. Guys, the problem is the problem is the weather. Also, the problem is there's no incentive for our farmers anymore. There's more taxes put on our farmers. It seems like every couple of days, our farms have a new tax, a new levy destroyed, or some other way to make it difficult for our farmers. It was only the other day we was talking on this channel, we was talking about, inheritance tax for farmers and how that's getting, as I understand it, the inheritance tax laws for farmers at the moment did not affect farmers. Sorry, guys, I just need to refresh the screen. Did not affect farmers, machinery, but farmers' land, and that could be passed from father to son, and then father to son would not have to sell any of that land because the land would still be the same, and they'd still have the same amount of machinery. Now it's looking like, in the United Kingdom at least, that if you pass down some machinery to your son after you die to farm the fields that you feed the country with, that machinery will get taxed. Guys, it looks like we're pushing our farmers out. It looks like our farms are closing. It looks like we have got global warming, but I don't think it's got as much to do with humans as actually the sun warming up, and we're focusing on the wrong thing. We're focusing on taxing people rather than looking at the situation and thinking, right, okay, this is happening. We have no control over it. Let's just think of a solution. So when we talk about supply and demand, if there's a small supply and a big demand, the price goes up. That is, there's no denying that, guys, all right? So what we can understand and what we can surmise, speculate from what we've just seen, we've got, what did it say? I think 68 million people, was it? Yeah, the drought has wiped out crops in southern Africa, impacting 68 million people and causing food shortages across the region. Guys, that is a phenomenal amount of people who this is affected. All these people now are going to need food. All these people, you know, and guys, I don't know how far 200 elephants go, but I don't think it's going to feed that many people. So what we can understand is these people are going to need to get food from somewhere, or we're going to see a mass humanitarian crisis the likes the world has never seen before. I can remember back in I think I want to say the late 80s or early 90s. You know, there were problems all over Africa when there was no food and there was droughts, and it looks like we're having it again. But not only do we have it again in Africa, now we're having these droughts, well, not these droughts, these bad planting seasons all over Europe. So we're heading towards an absolute catastrophe with food, guys. I've been warning for it for such a long time on this channel. I've been warning about the water supply. I've been warning about the food supply. And what we're seeing now is these things actually happening in real time. We can search for them now, and 68 million people affected is nothing to take lightly, guys. That is going to have huge effects. You know, we're going to have food aid. We're going to have water aid. We're going to have to send supplies down there. We're going to have to help displaced people, guys, all at a time when we're on the, you know, we're on the precipice. We're on the, you know, we're on the, what's the word I'm looking for? On a knife edge between heading towards a ridiculously large war of an industrial scale. All these things adding to the catastrophe, guys. Food shortages in Southern Africa, guys, affecting 68 million people. This will have a knock-on effect to Europe. This is going to have a knock-on effect to all food prices. All you need to do is walk down the high street and talk to people. All you need to do is walk into places that businesses that rely on people's disposable incomes, you know, mom and pop pubs, mom and pop restaurants, you know, anything where you would normally expect footfall. Guys, I've spoke to some people and they're telling me their footfall is down to 30% of what it normally is. Guys, get yourself prepared right now. I know food seems expensive right now, but trust me, guys, when I'll make another video this time next year and I'll say, guys, you know, how much more expensive is the food right now? Because I can guarantee you 68 million people are going to need feeding in Southern Africa, and that does not bring the price of any food down. Guys, we're having catastrophic crops and harvests all over Europe. And and if you're in the United States, I don't know if it's happening there, but I would suspect it is. Guys, we're in for a wild ride. Get yourself prepared, get some food, get some tinned food, get some water, and just make sure you and your family are okay, because people need to start thinking about self-preservation and looking after their own families. Guys, I'm going back to grid. I'll be live at 8 o'clock tonight. So down here somewhere, where is it? Like at that side, somewhere over there. I'm going to be live, guys. We're going to be talking about all this. We're going to be talking about what's been happening in Lebanon. We're going to be talking about what's been happening in Ukraine. We're going to be answering your questions. We're going to have a to and fro. It's going to be a community, guys. Let's be there at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to see you guys later.